Good morning, Stony Brook. Welcome to another episode of Reflection with Ryan. With me, Ryan Lauer, broadcasting from the studios of SBTV. Today's guest is an international teaching assistant from China, Chao Lin. We'll discuss certain challenges that international TAs face and share their personal experiences. Let's give a big round of applause and welcome our guest, Chao Lin.
Thank you, Ryan. It's a great pleasure for me to be here and a great opportunity to give my personal input on this topic.
Well, let's begin by sharing your most embarrassing moment in your teaching career here at Stony Brook University.
Well, yeah, I can recall some of them, but there's one that made me feel really uncomfortable was that on a day when one of my native students used idioms, which I wasn't aware of. Now that I do recall it, it was really awkward.
Let's take a look.
Do you guys have any questions on today's lecture?
Yeah, I'd like to ask about the topics of our research paper. I feel like it's getting down to the wire, and I'd really like to be on the ball.
Excuse me?
I know you gave us certain rules of thumb on the syllabus, and I really don't feel like I have much of a clue.
Do you want to come by my office and discuss your concerns?
Yeah, that'd be great, thanks.
Okay.
Welcome back. So, Chao Lin, tell me, why is it that you felt so uncomfortable?
Well, Ryan, at that time, I wasn't familiar with the idioms that the student used. I realized that he had some concerns, and I wanted to address them all. So I suggested him to come to my office and resolve any issues.
Do you think there could have been any alternative ways of handling that embarrassing situation?
Well, I believe there are. But you know, things in the classroom happen so fast. And there are times that you need to gain some extra time to think clearer. For example, now I can think of two different ways to handle the similar situations. Do you guys have any questions on today's lecture?
Yes, I want to ask you about the topics of our research paper. I know it's getting down to the wire, and I really want to be on the ball. I know in the syllabus you provided us with certain rules of thumb, but I do not have a clue.
I see that in your question you have used several idioms. I was thinking of assigning as homework to the whole class to prepare a list of 6 of your favorite idioms and their meanings and present it to the class. In your presentation, you can show the class how you can incorporate these idioms in content. I believe that this assignment will help both native and non-native speakers of English, since they can all enrich their vocabulary. Now, in terms of your research paper, you can always come in my office hours.
Okay, thank you.
Do you guys have any questions on today's lecture?
Yes, I want to ask about the topics of our research paper. I feel that it's getting down to the wire, and I really need to be on the ball. I know that on the syllabus you provided us with certain rules of thumb, but I do not feel that I have a clue.
Well, I'm sorry. I will have to ask you to rephrase your question because I didn't quite understand your concerns.
Well, yes, I feel that I'm running out of time for selecting the topics for my research paper, and I don't feel that I'm in control of the situation. The guidelines on the syllabus were very general, and I want to give in my paper on time, as I always do.
Okay, I want to assure you that we still have plenty of time, and you can always make an appointment with me to discuss any possible topic that may interest you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I find both approaches very effective.
Thank you. I believe that by asking students to rephrase in a way that you're sending a message that you didn't quite understand his or her choice of words. And I also think that this eases the communication and alleviates the embarrassed moment for both sides, student and the instructor.
Well, what about the last alternative method? Do you think that by assigning extra work that your students might have some negative reactions? How receptive do you think they're going to be?
Well, I believe by assigning extra work to students, you are forcing them to reflect on their background knowledge. And by presenting the work to the class, they can always gain from the experience because they can cross-reference their information to the class. Also, it's beneficial for the instructor too. So overall, it's a win-win situation.
Great. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to be with us here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. The best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Let's have another round of applause for our guest, Chao Lin. For those of you watching at home, let's review the idioms from today's episode and see if we can figure out just what those students were saying. Number 1, a rule of thumb, a general rule. You provided us with certain rules of thumb, or you provided us with certain general rules. Number 2, down to the wire, running out of time, closely approaching a deadline. It's getting down to the wire, or I feel like I'm running out of time. Number 3, on the ball, to be quick to understand and react. I want to be on the ball, or I want to understand the material well. And the last one, number 4, have a clue, to understand or to know what's going on. I don't feel that I have a clue, or I don't feel that I understand. That's all for today's episode of Reflection with Ryan. See you next week.